Okay. So this is a quick presentation on just using clay because I know you are all out there figuring out where to get your clay. So I just wanted to help guide this for you a little bit. So we're going to just start with choosing clay. What is a clay body? A clay body is just a term for any certain type of clay. Clay bodies can be very light in color to very dark in color. The manufacturers who create these clay bags of clay for us tend to come up with names. Also, some dub their own names. Like in this picture here, there's a white clay body, a red clay body, a brown clay body, and another white clay body. And there are clay bodies that can also be very dark, almost black after the bisque fire. So there is quite a range from pretty much white to red to brown to black for you to choose from. So when you pick up your clay, you're going to need to buy 2 bags of clay. If you can get 2 of them at once, I recommend that. I know they're really heavy. It can be hard to lug around. You can get that delivered to you, although you probably want to get that delivered as fast as possible because class is starting, and I don't want anyone to get off on a bad foot here by not being able to get their clay fast enough. So please, email me if you have to with any questions of getting your clay so that we can get you going and you don't get behind in class. So if you are in LA and available to get to SMC, we are talking about coordinating a pickup for you for clay. It's something that I can't guarantee because I'm actually recording this in early February. So we're going to see exactly what happens come the first week of the semester. But fingers crossed, hoping to get you all some clay. Otherwise, you want to find any sort of, you want to try Amazon. Blick Art Supplies is a huge art supplies chain store that sells clay. There's also different big ceramic stores like Laguna and Aardvark that I know are in LA. And if you aren't in LA, you're just going to have to do your best at researching and finding that clay for you. I know that last semester we were able to give out Rodsbod. So just in case you end up using Rodsbod this semester, it's gray in the raw form with a medium sand texture. It's a popular body for general purpose use. Large and thick-walled pieces are prone to cracking. So one thing that's good to know about different clay bodies is that they do feel and do dry differently. So this, in a light to medium reduction, Rodsbod fires to a warm brown with iron specks, which generally bleed into glazes forming brown specks. So your clay body will affect the way that your pieces are glazed, although we don't do glazing in this course. We do a lot of ceramic surface treatments, but we won't be doing any glazes. It's something that I will introduce to you, and something that we would love to be able to incorporate in future classes at SMC, in which case we shall see about that. Bmix is a classic beginner clay body that I recommend. It's a premier cream white clay that is easy to throw and form. It has a smooth porcelain texture. Porcelain is known for a texture that is so soft it feels like a cream cheese. It fires in a gray-white color and in a reduction and lighter in oxidation. And it is similar to porcelain, but it throws like a dream. We won't be doing any throwing in this class, but for the future, maybe you want to try Bmix for any of your throwing projects that you may pursue. Bmix with grog is another type of clay. And I'm not going over every single clay body, so don't be scared because there's tons. And just so you know, grog is a term used in ceramics to describe crushed brick or other fired ceramic. aggregate that is added to sculpture and structural clays to improve drying properties. If you want to use a stronger clay body that is harder to create details in, you can purchase Bmix with grog. Although it might be harder to carve details out, it is definitely has a strong body and is great for hand building and is really great for holding all of the weight that clay has when you work with it. And these are just pictures of different types of grog and types of minerals that can be added to clay. Yeah, so, and then really quickly, just so you know, maybe you'll go shopping for clay and they'll say, but we have this, we don't have the kind that you want, but we have it with grog. That's fine. You're welcome to go ahead and buy your clay with grog. I recommend it. I think it's fun. Then I really want you to get 2 different colored clays. I'm not going to force anyone to do it, but with 2 different colored clays, I guarantee that you'll get a lot more out of your work this semester because of all the different slip decoration techniques that we'll be going over. So there's beautiful red and brown clays that you can purchase. They're red because they have a high iron content. They're slightly sandy and they usually have a lower plasticity. This is a word you're going to hear me use throughout the semester. This essentially means that with a lower plasticity, it means your clay is less plastic, and which means that your clay is less malleable. So the more plastic or with more plasticity, the more malleable it is, like a porcelain, that cream cheese white porcelain that I was talking about. But with this type of clay, it's a little bit harder to mold as easily, so it has a lower plasticity. So the starker clay here, I'm not sure exactly from this photo, but Cassius is the one that fires to this beautiful black color. There's like Hawaiian red. There's a whole bunch of different, there's terracotta. There's a whole bunch of different clays that I welcome you to explore with. So if you plan on having your work bisque fired at SMC, I want you to know that we will only accept cone 10 clay. All clay will like go through the bisque firing at the same temperature, which is a low fire. So no matter what kind of cone you do choose, we can have it go through the bisque firing and it will be fine. So don't worry too much if you can't access cone 10 clay. That'll be unfortunate for when you glaze at SMC, if you do plan on glazing at SMC, but your clay should be cone 10 clay, meaning a high fire clay, meaning that if you did bring your work, your bisque work to be glazed at SMC one day when the pandemic is over and we're all glazing on campus again, I hope that your ceramic projects are cone 10 because that cone 10 will withstand the high heat that we use in order to fire your glaze work. So although all bisque work is fired at a low temperature and it doesn't matter what cone it is, essentially, it does matter for your glaze work. So it's just something to think about in the future. If you're not firing at SMC, if you plan on having your work fired somewhere else, call the studio in town that you plan on having your work fired at, ask them what cone that they'll take, and ask them if they have maybe some leniency with that too. And that way you can decide for yourself what clay or what temperature your clay, like what temperature you want your clay to be fired at so you can, purchase the right clay. So it's up to you to research those ceramic studios near you and research the cone that they fire at. I can't help, we're all working in different places, so I can't, I'm not filled with that many resources, but it's pretty easy to do. You just need one Google search away. Cone 10 is the best, I would say, just because it is a high fire clay. So if you find a ceramic studio in town that you want to throw at, that you want to fire at, most of them do it at cone 5. So that's a medium fire. So you're gonna buy clay that can withstand really high fire if need be, which can always be able to handle low fire, which is opposite because if you buy clay that is cone O5, which is the lowest low temperature, it would melt in a very high temperature glaze setting. So we'll get more into that, but just know for now, cone 10 is the best, and that's what I recommend. Like I said, we have Blick Art Supplies located in Santa Monica as well as the United States. Also does delivery, but takes a really long time. There's Laguna, there's Aardvark, both in Los Angeles, and there's Amazon, which I would say is a last resort because it does just take such a long time. And a lot of mom and pop art stores will sell clay as well. So acquire your materials ASAP so we can get straight to hand building, and there is more to come.